Thanks for clicking on to the Tuesday edition of Vogan's European Outlook. It has been quite a variable month in terms of temperature and extremes this April so far, especially the further east you go over the continent. It has been predominantly high, dry, settled conditions across the majority of the UK and Ireland. We obviously have now abruptly changed. Low pressure is firmly in control with the April. The Easter Outlook is actually going to be released this evening, so stay tuned for that. It is unfortunately going to be a little bit earlier than it typically would be because of the circumstances, personal circumstances coming up over the next couple of days. It's forced me to issue the Easter weekend forecast earlier than normally would be produced. So obviously you have to take that somewhat with a pinch of salt. It is based on current model runs, and obviously it is subject to change, obviously, as we progress through the course of the week. But it's turning increasingly wet, windy, cool, with hill snow in the mix as well over the next 24 to 36 hours. We're going to see a little bit of a reprieve Thursday, then more low pressure moves in during the course of Friday, particularly Ireland, Northern Ireland, western areas of the UK. Further east, it is drier. And then as we move into the weekend, it looks as if we could have a little spell of less unsettled. So drier and brighter Saturday and into Easter Sunday, turning more unsettled from the east as we move into the Easter Monday period. So do check out the written outlook that will be released shortly on marvoganweather.com. I will hopefully try and leave a link in the description below. So somebody had mentioned about talking about the MJO, haven't been mentioned that in recent times. I'll try and touch on that in today's video. And also, I hope to have a video tomorrow. That is the plan anyway. Then after tomorrow, I'm going to be taking the rest of this week and through the Easter weekend off. So, yeah, just kind of bear with me. And hopefully things will get back to somewhat normal as we move into Tuesday and beyond next week. Obviously, most folks know that my mum passed away last Monday. It happens to be our funeral on Thursday, so I'm going to take some time off, obviously during that, and the days following that as well. So, like I said, I do greatly appreciate everybody's very kind words. I may not have personally responded to every comment, but they have been read, and they are very much appreciated. But anyway, this is the CDAS one-day temperature anomalies through the month of April so far. Started off on a very mild note, and you can see here that the anomaly really increased through many areas of Europe in through the first 5 days of the month. It turned a little bit less warm. We had more easterly winds during the 5th and 6th of April. We had a shot of cold air that initiated over Scandinavia, dropped into central areas of Europe. Then that cold air expanded as it moved southwards into the heart of Europe here, and we've seen some very significant wintry conditions. A real major freeze after what was a surge of midsummer level warmth that has done a work on agriculture across many areas of Eastern Europe here. So it has been a very, very problematic month of April for particularly east and southeastern areas of Europe. Very mild across the west, very cold across the east, as can be seen here. And essentially, it has led to quite an extreme month overall. And I suppose we've become somewhat used to that in recent times. This is the month of April so far through the first 15 days of the month. So below average across the east, central and western areas, northern areas, firmly milder than average. Now, over the next 30 days, the ECM extended suggests that we've still got a lot of blocking within high latitudes of the northern hemisphere, Greenland, Arctic. We've still got that positive heights in this part of the world here. It looks as if we've got a slight negative just to the west of Ireland here, but neutral heights over the UK and Ireland presents an opportunity for perhaps quite a showery, possibly cool May, according to the ECM extend, certainly through the second half of April and through the first half of May. So looking at Europe specifically, this is how the upper heights look like. We've got quite a lot of positives over much of Europe here. We've got a slight negative to the west of Ireland. This would look, in terms of precipitation anomaly over the next 30 days, like this here. So actually showing wetter than average, which is interesting. Let's have a look at the temperature anomalies over the next 30 days to see what it's looking like. So, like I said, second half of the month and through the first half of May, it's actually looking average to slightly below average and wetter than average of the ECM extended. That's out of interest. Look at the GFS, and it's showing below average. Second half of April, first half of May, looking like it is, in terms of precipitation, wetter than average. And the upper heights, so GFS ensemble, very similar to the ECMWF extended in terms of both cooler and wetter than average. Looking at the upper heights, and very similar, but yet slightly more prominence of a negative over the UK and Ireland. So that's an interesting, somewhat of a turnaround. So this change over to lower pressure, it's possible that this could be the end of what has been a multi-month run of settled conditions here. But this is all indicative of having a trough trapped underneath higher pressure. So in terms of the 7-day anomalies here, let's have a very quick look at what it's looking like here. So this is back to the upcoming 7 days, so firmly dominated by low pressure. Notice here that the core of that anomaly over the 7-day period is slightly west of the UK and Ireland. So a little bit more fluctuation across, particularly further east you go over the UK, dominant high pressure over eastern areas of the continent. In terms of precipitation over the next 7 days, wetter than average, and temperature anomalies, according to the GFS extended anyway, looks like this here. So cooler than average across both UK and Ireland here. Now, let's go back to the ECM extended and see what it's indicating. This is the upcoming 7-day period in terms of the temperature anomaly. Let's have a look at the pressure anomaly here. So again, dominated by low pressure, high pressure further east. That's the mean sea level pressure, by the way. Let's have a look at the upper pressure chart. And again, very much in bed with the GFS. Low pressure dominating UK and Ireland, with the core centered just to the west, higher pressure further east. So in terms of, very quickly, this is the ECMWF. Play through the loop. We've got an area of low pressure drifting out of Biscay, moving up over the UK. Showers and longer spells of rain, embedded thunderstorms, especially when the hands lift near or beneath the centre of the low. The lower the pressure, the greater the upward motion is. So we've obviously reversed the atmospheric vertical flow. Instead of it being predominantly sinking air, we're now starting to see rising air. That's allowing the air to cool, condense, and produce showers and clouds. And obviously with strong incoming solar radiation out with, where you've got that sun penetrating the ground, you're increasing the level of instability, the rate in which the air rises. That's known as the lapse rate. The greater the contrast between the surface and the mid and upper levels, the faster the air flows upwards. And that's why at this time of the year, when you've got strong sun, early September level strength, and you've got cooler suspended in the mid and upper levels, that's why we get these sudden downpours. You've got a sudden drop in temperature. The cooler and the suspended within the mid levels gets dropped down to the surface. So you can be in the sunshine, 11, 12, 13 Celsius, get underneath that shower. You're beneath the downdraft, and you're actually getting the air at perhaps 5, 6 Celsius. It drops down to the surface. So you get these big sudden shifts in weather conditions at this time of the year. Obviously, it's April showers. It's that time of the year. We're back to what we normally would typically see for the month of April with these sunshine and shower regimes. So that area of low pressure then scoots off to the north. Then we've got another area of low pressure in the Good Friday, moving in particularly across western UK and Ireland, Northern Ireland. It looks as if it could be a real soaker across, say, Ireland, during the course of Good Friday. Then that area of low pressure kind of splits apart. One piece goes north, one piece goes south. The main low itself is actually forced south because of high pressure building to the north here, and that allows a little bit of a gap between lows that brings a more settled Saturday, Sunday. Then the area of low pressure then drifts in from the east off the North Sea into Easter Monday. But do check out the written outlook. It should be available fairly soon. In terms of the Magellan oscillation, not a huge amount to go by at the moment here, but it looks as if it's trying to drift into phases 7 and 8. This is the GFS, this is the ECMWF, again showing day 10 through 15, quite a long way out. It's indicating phases 7 and 8, but these phases start to change in terms of the pattern it can produce at this time of the year compared to back during the winter season, or indeed during the summer season as well. Go by the MJO for the likes of favourability for Atlantic tropical activity and whatnot. So this will get reintroduced over the next several weeks in terms of the hurricane forecast, and also potentially blocking and influences on the northern hemispheric pattern. But not a huge amount to go by in terms of the MJO, but somebody had asked me to speak about that. Hopefully that is of use to you. So that we're starting to lose the chilly conditions across the east of the continent here as the fresher flow comes in off the Atlantic here. We're starting to see the warmer temperatures moving eastwards out of the west into central and eastern areas, and that will continue to be the case as we progress through the next little while or so. In terms of the ensemble here, this is the 850 temperatures above London. Looks as if we flirt with the warmer than average to below average, then we go back above average, and then there's essentially a real mixed bag of above versus below average. The red line in the middle represents the climatological average at this time of the year. It looks as if through the second half of April, we've got quite a spread in the model output with regards to in terms of the 850 temperature profile. I think we're going to bounce back and forth between chilly versus milder, and I think we are going to have the chance of seeing something higher pressure dominant, I think, into the second half of the month, but a lot more variability. If we look at the ECMWF, we'll play through the loop here. You notice here we've got high pressure building in, got a more of a northerly flow here. So there is indications here that we may see something colder getting drawn south out of the Arctic as we move towards the final week of the month. You can see here this much colder air seen by the ECMWF getting driven south. So there is a small possibility that we could have a cold shot coming south as we progress into the final week or so of April. So that's it for today. Like I said, hopefully I will have a final video tomorrow. Check out the Easter weekend forecast on marvelandweather.com, and see you next time. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Bye for now.